of people don't understand the correlation between sacrifices and the success that they dream to have. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about it. Sacrifices could be anything from the time spent on it to the opportunity costs of what you could be doing, money lost, friendships broken because of it, relationships broken, arguments and bonds ruined. Those could all be different sacrifices, and just different ways to perceive what a sacrifice is. And so a lot of the things that I notice people aren't willing to do when they're getting interested in some type of path is they're not willing to accept the sacrifices that are required and necessary to achieve what they want to achieve. So I've experienced this firsthand, that people won't even want to sacrifice their time. A lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice hours, a couple hundred hours, into really getting good at something. That's one of the biggest dividers I see personally when it comes to, this path of taking risks, or this path of, like making money in a sense. For me, it's, related to trading or online business, you could say. And people aren't willing to accept the sacrifices that they're going to need to make. And a lot of the big players, or the people who are, doing very well, they accepted and they made those sacrifices because they understood it was required, right? And so what you need to understand is that it's required. You're going to need to sacrifice time. You're going to need to possibly sacrifice relationships and friendships. You're going to need to sacrifice money. You're going to need to sacrifice these things, because when you sacrifice it, it's not so much that you're just throwing it away as get rid of sacrifice, but you're sacrificing it so you can gain from it. It's almost like an investment into yourself in a way. You're sacrificing time with these people because you understand that it's going to benefit you, and it's going to be a beneficial sacrifice, almost like an investment, right? And a lot of the time I've seen firsthand, people aren't willing to make sacrifices. I have friends reach out to me and they ask me for help. I give them all the help, and I give them resources that they can even go to get extra help. And they don't want to even invest the time and sacrifice hours out of their day to learn this potentially life-changing skill, because they're not willing to just sacrifice. And that's a huge divider that really draws people apart, and it completely separates certain people from certain people. You're going to need to make sacrifices in life. You're going to need to do things you don't want to do. You're going to need to sacrifice time, money. You're going to need to sacrifice relationships. You need to sacrifice things if you want to get to a certain spot, because in order to change, you have to change, right? You have to break the old you to form the new you. It's almost like you're coming out of your cocoon, or you're, morphing into a new physical form, if you want to look at it like that. You need to get rid of whatever the fuck you were before, and you need to become a new version. Because if what got you to that place of becoming a loser, that is not going to get you to the place of becoming someone who's worth something. So you need to destroy that old version of you and become a new version of you. And that's what I'm going through. That's what I've been through. I used to drink heavily. I used to party a lot, and I completely stopped doing that. And a lot of people probably thought it was like retarded and made fun of me a little, but I completely stopped doing that for like 2.5, 3 years. Completely stopped drinking, and I changed my entire mindset. My entire mindset's so different. I don't really talk to any of my old friends. I'm now friends with a lot of new people, all who make 1,000 times more than me. I have changed my bad habits. I have formed good habits. I have replaced my bad habits with good habits. I have replaced my bad friends, my negative, energy draining friends who were negative for me. I have replaced them with good friends who support me, are positive, actually are worth something. And that was me changing to make a change. I broke an old version of me and I formed a new one. And I'm still going through that process of evolving. And I'm not done. I'm not anywhere near where I dream and aspire to be. But I know I understand that I can make these sacrifices, and I understand that these sacrifices are going to get me to where I need to be, and I'm not scared to make them. I will risk everything if I am able to achieve what I want to achieve. And that's what I've done. I've risked everything I can risk.